In today's video, we're talking all about Glaives. In Season 18, Bungie actually changed how Glaives interact with a few different exotics. Glaives will now work with the armor perks on ACDO Feedback Fence, Karnstein Armlets, and most importantly, Necrotic Grip. For those that don't know, Necrotic Grip is an amazing Warlock exotic that allows us to create a full-on poison build. The exotic perk is Grasp of the Devourer. Damaging combatants with your melee applies a poison debuff that increases in damage over time. Whenever a poisoned enemy dies, they release an AoE that spreads the poison to all nearby targets. It works with any charged or uncharged melee on any Warlock subclass, and now it can also proc off of a regular glaive melee. This is a ton of fun to use and has absolutely insane ad clear potential, and I wanted to put together a build that revolves all around poison damage from our melee ability and also utilizes the new glaive synergy to the fullest. Now guys, obviously not every build is made to tackle Grandmaster Nightfalls or Master Raids, but this build is still extremely fun to use in all regular content and even dungeons and some higher tier content. It has a ton of healing and survivability, unmatched ad clear, huge ability uptime, and we will also have the benefit of our Well of Radiance for our team since we will be playing Solar Warlock. We're going to break it all down so you understand all the moving pieces, and there will be a dim loadout link in the description so you can get this set up for yourself. I only ask that if you enjoy the video, do me a favor and leave a like down below and smash that subscribe button. We are almost to 20,000 subscribers, and with your help, we can crush that goal. Now let's dive right into it by taking a look at the subclass. Of course, we are using Well of Radiance for our super, and you can use whatever rift you prefer, though I recommend Healing Rift. We want to use Incinerator Snap for our melee. This is already an explosive ability for ad clear, and with Necrotic Grip, it will also poison anything that it hits, allowing us to poison big packs of ads easily. For our grenade, you have some choice here. If you want to use Healing Grenade for added survivability, you absolutely can. But if you know how to use the glaive block in a smart way, you can negate a ton of damage. And we also have other means of healing via our mods and Rift. I like to use Solar Grenade for harder content with beefier ads, use whatever you prefer. For our aspects, we will take Touch of Flame. This improves our grenade functionality and makes them much stronger. Try to make sure that you are using one of the grenades on this list. Then we will also use Heat Rises. This allows us to shoot, melee, and use our grenade while gliding. You can also consume your grenade to glide for longer and to release a burst of healing in a tight situation. Something a lot of people sleep on with this aspect is this part at the bottom. Final blows while airborne increase the duration of Heat Rises, but it also grants melee energy, and it's a lot of melee energy. In some of these clips you can see I get my melee refunded almost instantly just by jumping before I snap. Moving on to our fragments, we will take Ember of Torches, which allows our melee ability to make us radiant whenever we hit a target. This grants us a 25% increase to our weapon damage for the duration. Next, we will take Ember of Solace, which makes our restoration and radiant effects last longer, giving us more uptime on those buffs. Then we take Ember of Ashes, which applies more stacks of Scorch whenever we scorch an enemy. This stacks on top of our ticking poison damage for more damage over time on big targets. And finally, we take Ember of Searing, where defeating a scorched target grants us melee energy. This is part of how we constantly have our snap melee available. Now moving on to our actual weapon loadout, we will be using Osteo Striga in our kinetic slot. This craftable exotic SMG also applies poison damage to targets, and when that target dies, or after you land multiple precision hits, you will trigger a burst that spreads poison to nearby targets. This has a hidden synergy with Necrotic Grips as well. Now normally the weapon will only spread poison once off of that initial target, and anything that it spreads to will not spread further upon death. But when paired with Necrotic Grip, it spreads endlessly. Any poison from any source will always spread poison to other nearby targets now for an endless chain. The catalyst also overflows the mag greatly whenever you get a poison kill. Now a cool side note, this build will actually work with any weapon of sorrow. So you could use Thorn if you wanted to, or if you are much luckier than I am, you can also use Touch of Malice from Kingsfall. I really wanted to get my hands on it before making this video, but Bungie hasn't turned on my streamer loot, so no luck there. For our glaive, you can really choose any of the legendary glaive options. I went with Nezarec's Whisper as it has access to some unique perks that aren't found on other glaives. I am using Demolitionist and Unstoppable Force. Demolitionist gives us tons of grenade energy on projectile kills with the glaive, and Unstoppable Force gives us a 30% damage increase to projectile damage whenever we block incoming damage. Utilize this block. It has insane damage reduction, will keep you alive, and grant you a damage buff. But like I said, any glaive will work, and you might even use Lubre's Ruin from the raid for added synergy with our solar subclass and mods. It's totally up to you. Your heavy slot is free game, so use whatever you like to use here. Moving on to our mods, the first two mods we need are Melee Wellmaker, which creates a solar well from our melee ability, and Elemental Ordnance, which creates a solar well on grenade final blows. If you are using Healing Grenade or don't have Elemental Ordnance, you can easily use Explosive Wellmaker as an alternative to create additional wells from our melee and other explosion damage. Next, we take Well of Life, which will heal us whenever we pick up a solar well, adding to our survivability. And then we take Elemental Charge, which will make us charge with light when we pick up an elemental well. This allows us to basically be charged with light at all times. For our final mod, we will take Heavy Handed. This is a 7 cost arc mod, so it's kind of expensive, but it makes it so that whenever we use our melee ability, it will consume 1 stack of charge with light and instantly grant us half of our melee back. This is the most important component of having our snap melee available as much as possible, and oftentimes results in us getting our melee refunded instantly when paired with the rest of the build. I also recommend Inferno Whip from the artifact. This has been moved to be a helmet mod now and allows our snap melee to also stun unstoppable champions for some anti-champion capability. I recommend going for 100 resilience and 100 discipline. This will make the build flow much better, and then I would also prioritize 100 recovery if possible. We don't need to worry about strength at all since so much of our build will refund our melee instantly. But that's going to do it for the build. Whether you're using the glaive to spread poison and be up close and personal, or flying around with Osteo, Striga, and our snap melee, this build turns us into a poison god. I really hope to keep pushing this build further in the future, and maybe we might see like a poison heavy weapon at some point in the future. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, again, leave a like down below and smash that subscribe button for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.